Radio Network proudly presents the Broadcasters Podcast. Here is the king of podcasts.
About to get ourselves started into the month of December, where we'll basically be doing a best of 2023 coming up very soon on the program. Not yet. I thought I was going to start this week, but no. We have a story that needs to warrant my attention and my commentary tonight. So, a man who is very successful in media. Don't get me wrong. I respect what he's done in the business, okay? I understand, look, the choice opportunity to learn under the mentorship of one Dick Clark helped this man become who he is today. Just saying. Ryan Seacrest. So earlier this year, we mentioned how he was able to go ahead and land the gig after Pat Sajak to become the new host of Wheel of Fortune. I mean, talk about a cash cow for 40 years. And Pat Sajak will step down, and now coming up in the fall, Ryan Seacrest takes over to do the show. And then we get the news that, well, remember, he's already got a pretty heavy plate of stuff already on his hands. He still has American Idol on his hands. He still has New Year's Rockin' Eve, Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve, which still bears Dick Clark's name. But what about the radio? Were we wondering if he was going to stick around? Well, he is. iHeartMedia has decided to sign another 3-year deal. He has signed another 3-year deal, Ryan Seacrest. So his contract will continue to the end of 2027. He will continue to host across all iHeartRadio platforms. Initially for the number one Los Angeles morning drive time show for 102.7 KIIS-FM's nationally syndicated On Air with Ryan Seacrest. And, unfortunately, American Top 40 with Ryan Seacrest. Now, that's the reason I have a little bit of animus with Ryan Seacrest, because of what he has done to the program that Casey Kasem, that I grew up on, that I loved. And I thought, you know, that format's not hard. I still feel like what Casey Kasem brings. Listen, you have now a channel on iHeartRadio ever since that has been devoted to listening to the program. And by the way, Casey Kasem's countdowns continue to run in syndication weekly. His 70s and 80s countdowns, they continue to be played. And then we have this here, and I'm like, okay, well, he's come back. He's back at it again. And like, you know, Casey Kasem wants to bring it, you know, doesn't have, I guess he didn't pass along to Ryan Seacrest what he did, but Ryan Seacrest doesn't want to do that same show. I don't know if it's just his management or what. And don't get me wrong, Ryan Seacrest is an accomplished radio disc jockey. He's a radio talent. You know, when he worked at Star 98.7 KYSR in Los Angeles, listen, I've heard his air checks. Very good. Good morning shows. Listen, don't get me wrong, he's fine. But he is mailing it in on all this. There is no way that this man, 48 years old, can continue to go ahead and put all his effort into all these programs. Listen, if he's able to go and hold on to these jobs, he does. But is there that much ever being put into it? No. Now, what he did replace with Wheel of Fortune was his Live with Kelly and Ryan series. And I watched him once in a while on there, and he mailed it in there too. There's not much to him. Like, he's just part of the lineup. Like, there's a number of stars that were like MCs like that just kind of give us just like a blandness. You know, I think of John Davidson is exactly like that. Okay, good looking, handsome guy. Not much of a personality, not much of anything, just kind of there. Okay. But I mean, all right. You know, there's always something about, listen, I mean, the radio chops. That's why Ryan Seacrest is a serviceable host on various platforms. Listen, he does the hosting on American Idol. He's done it for 20 years, it feels like? Yeah, fine. He's still doing it. Good for him. The New Year's Rockin' Eve, people watch that show still. Good for him. And he has his radio show, and people listen to it still because his name's on the marquee, and there's much more to him like that. But it's like, remember, there are others that kind of just went on their way. And also, I mean, I never felt like that Ryan Seacrest was just safe, saccharine. He doesn't break any barriers. He doesn't do anything extra special. He just fills the role. You know, it gets quarterbacks in the NFL. They're just, you know, they can run the offense. That's basically what it is. He runs the show. He can host, but he's not an exceptional host. He's not a grandiose, like, you know, over the wall type host. And we have other names we can bring out there. We can be much of a difference. Listen, another example of somebody that really is, you know, in the same realm as Ryan Seacrest is Steve Harvey. Now, Steve Harvey kind of still has that same kind of feel to him himself, right? He did have his talk show. He has Family Feud, which is 13, 14 years now he's been on there, and he's rocking it. Family Feud, number one game show, right? Because that's what's beating Wheel of Fortune. And Steve Harvey has had his radio show for a long time. But, you know, also he's an author, and he's done a lot of things for himself where in terms of, you know, clothing line, his comedy is good. He's still sharp. He does the Judge Steve thing. He's done, like, you know, give him anything. He's another guy, but at least Steve Harvey has a character. He's a personality. You know who Steve Harvey is. You know he's got with the bald head and that laugh and his mustache and like the whole, like that you hear his voice, you know who it is. And Ryan Seacrest is just, he's vanilla. He's always been that way. He doesn't, and the thing is, the opportunities that he has on what he does. Listen, I think he's going to do just fine on Wheel of Fortune. I don't know if he has like the funny chops to go along with it, because Pat Sajak just fit that show. He just fit. And it was so like nonchalant and smarmy and just like kind of just there. It's just Pat Sajak. It's just his way. He just fit that show like a glove. And he can be funny. He makes simple jokes, kind of like dad jokes. He's fine. Him and Vanna, man, that show ran just like a well-oiled machine. And damn it, Ryan Seacrest gets that cush gig. Remember, I think Pat Sajak was making $30-40 million a year on that show. And imagine that Ryan Seacrest is probably getting something similar to that. I don't know how much he's getting from radio, but for whatever reason, he wants to keep the radio. But remember, he might be keeping radio. Like, iHeartMedia needs Ryan Seacrest more than Ryan Seacrest needs them. Remember, Ryan Seacrest has his production company. He has the Kardashians that have been running on forever. 94 seasons with them. But he's doing this. And I'm like, damn, the radio has to still be him? Is there anybody else in radio that can come in and fill the role? Because all he's doing is just holding a spot. So, 30 years with iHeartMedia. 20 years as the voice of morning radio in L.A. And then he will continue having a close working relationship with iHeart Chairman and CEO Bob Pittman and President Rich Bressler. So he not only provides input into the company's major initiatives, but hosting the two tentpole events that they have, the iHeartRadio Music Festival and LA's iHeartRadio Jingle Ball Holiday Concert Series. Now, Ryan Seacrest talks about this with the Hollywood Reporter that reports on this. And, quote, "The first job I ever had where I got a paycheck was at a radio station. That was when I was 16 years old, so I've come into a studio every day of my life forever. It's just something that's such a part of my DNA." But he also says, quote, "There's a real intimacy and unvarnished presentation to live radio that I love. It's different from television, where it's highly produced and in some cases very rehearsed." Now, his extension comes as he settles back into Los Angeles. 6 years he worked in New York, taping live with Kelly and Ryan. And then he would leave the daytime talk show. He stayed 3 years longer than he initially planned. I didn't even know he was there for 6 years. And then he decided to move on. Now, he would continue to focus on American Idol, Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve, his eponymous foundation, and his radio show. But he took on to become the successor to Pat Sajak next year on Wheel of Fortune. I mean, he gets to work. I can't knock him for that. Listen, I can't knock him for the fact he gets all these jobs and he can take it and he can manage it. But this is where my problem is that, sure, he has a name, he's got capital, he's got all this that he goes along with him, right? So I mean, guess this, and yeah, he probably still has a lot of clout when it comes to the concert series and who should be the pop stars that iHeartMedia actually should present because of his connections in Hollywood, right? So he goes on with that, and I'm like, but I really just don't care much about the idea of having him here and say to myself, all right, we're going to put him in, and then he does the same thing. There's nothing special on American Top 40 for that show. I'm surprised the show still continues as it does, and it still has a worldwide audience because people want to still hear a countdown. But a couple of things happen. The presentation of the show is just not the same anymore. It is contrived and so recorded and, kind of just scripted badly. It's cringeworthy and plenty of times. Plus, the list they decide to use is media base, an inferior chart. Now, I've said it before. Let's bring back the Billboard chart as the gauge, because, like I said, the Ryan Seacrest American Top 40 Countdown pales in comparison to what the official chart on BBC Radio 1 does. And now I'm saying that now with the fact that Scott Mills was an exceptional host, but they moved him to BBC Radio 2, unfortunately, because of the fact that Stephen Wright and the controversy with him, and just dropping that guy off because, after so many years. So Scott Mills is over there, him and his producer. They do a great job over there. They're still doing really fine. And they had to he had to give up the official chart program to Jack Saunders. And I'm like, Jack Saunders about a year plus into it. I'm not feeling him so much. He's okay, but man, he's a significant drop down from Scott Mills. So Scott Mills, if you ever hear me on this program, I thought you were fantastic on that show. I look forward to listening. And if I got a chance to make sure I got on the road and I was doing whatever I was going to do Friday mornings, 11 a.m., I am listening intently, especially during the Christmas countdowns now where, he would just had a way, just a humor about him. A bit of a throwback, if you will, to how radio DJs really do perform. Because when I listen to the interviews that Ryan Seacrest does with the artists, they're so humdrum. You're getting nothing out of it. But then again, what radio host does that now? Howard Stern has just gone bland. And once in a while, you hear something that comes on an interview like, oh, this is cool. Like the Bradley Cooper interview. Oh, that Howard Stern was given a chance to have a role in A Star Is Born, but he declined. Or the fact that Bradley Cooper would rather have the Philadelphia Eagles, win win the Super Bowl this year, or Super Bowl any time, instead of him winning an Oscar from his movie Maestro. Serious fandom. I can appreciate that. He's a proper fan. Now, with Ryan Seacrest, you get this here, and like I said, it's the part where what they do with existing portions of his On Air with Ryan Seacrest program, they repurpose it for the podcast. They repurpose it for American Top 40 to use on the show. Like, that's all it is. And Ryan Seacrest comes in probably for a couple of hours. Okay, read this. Here's your script. Does it, puts it in his voice. Not much excitement to it. Nothing special. No real anticipation. No momentum behind the show. It's just kind of there. And it's a 4-hour show. It's way too long. The official chart format on BBC Radio 1 is much better when you can just cut down the amount of songs you're playing every week. And they do it in an hour, 45 minutes. And they have a news beat in between to get it into 2 hours. So much better. And personally, I think Vic Hope and Katie Thistleton should take over the official chart. They do the First Look show on Sunday nights for an hour, and they're fantastic together. Amazing chemistry. But BBC Radio, that's just in general, for a national radio network, just better people, better personalities. But then again, Ryan Seacrest is, a run of the mill compared to anybody else that's in radio. Like, who else is there in radio that really just stands out and tells me, man, there's a reason to listen? Some national radio host that really does stand the test. Elvis Duran? No. I've tried. I just got my new car, and I now have, I can listen to radio stations pretty well and pretty nicely in the car. I just don't. I remember when they tried to put Ryan Seacrest and they forced him down the throats of all the iHeartMedia stations and got rid of local programming. So instead of running him in the morning on some markets, they would run him in middays because of the fact that his show would still be going on and they would just find a way to go ahead and produce it. That didn't work either. Maybe some stations still do that, but some were able to go and opt out, which is nice. So Ryan Seacrest, once again, continues to be the person that just continues to get the gigs. And it's like, why? Why do we constantly have to go and placate to this guy? Every damn time. It really does bother me. But can't help themselves. They can't help themselves. And trust me, I've gone on about it for a long time. I've done several shows on it. Just because I can't help it. You know, first of all, American Top 40 and the chart manipulation, that's one thing I can't stand anyway. But that's another story. Like I can go back and even go back again and just go into the constant issue that I have with looking at what they do and saying to myself, they can't help themselves. They always give us a chart that sucks and it's like so bad. And if I need to go back and find again the message board where I find all that at, and I'm not sure if I still have that here anywhere or what. And as always, I'm going to do my little thing that I do every once in a while where I go ahead and look at the Billboard Hot 100 and compare it to the American Top 40 Countdown. All right. The Hot 100 this week. Your top 10. Deal with it. I'm going to just do this because I always do. And I just say to myself, why do we have a countdown that Ryan Seacrest mails in every week? And then when he goes through, listen, we already have Christmas songs on the chart right now. Do you think they're going to do anything like that on American Top 40? No. They control what they want to put on their stations. It's, their choice. There is no real feedback from the listeners out there. And even the list they have is not even the media-based CHR list. It's another list. It's something else completely different. That's completely manipulated by them. They make it up. And they also have the worst thing about where, so a song will go up 1 week, it goes down 1 week, 3 weeks maybe, or maybe it'll go up 1 slot, 3 slots, but it's not like an organic list. They just decide, okay, we're going to make a song go up here, go down here, and some songs will go up a chart up to a certain level, and they go down the chart a certain level. And of course, there's some songs they put in that are their own making because they want to go ahead and promote those stars. So they have to manipulate their own charts to put them up there, as I said before. So looking at the current chart right now, so in the songs they have here, all right, top 10 on their current list. Paint the Town Red, Doja Cat is number 1. On Billboard, it's number 3. And by the way, 16 weeks on the chart. For Doja Cat, it's been on 14 weeks. And you know why? It's because Doja Cat and her music is promoted pretty expansively on all iHeartRadio stations. For pop, absolutely. Number 2, Doechii What It Is, not including Kodak Black. And that song, is it even on the list? Is it even on? I think it's not even on the list. I'm trying to look here. Hold on. If it is, it's at the very bottom. Hold on. I'm looking here. And I'm going to guess, wow. I'm pretty sure that song, which is the number 2 song on American Top 40, is not even on this list. I'm looking. I don't see it. Oh, another is number 45. By the way, 29 weeks on the chart. On American Top 40's chart, it's been there 15 weeks. And I've made the formula, right? I remember we had a study that went back to 2019 that explains that, commercial radio now in America takes roughly 12 weeks for music that was already at its peak on streaming for it to become at its peak in radio. So these stations have no problem playing songs that are well over a year old, 6 months to a year old, and make it on radio they're brand new because they live in a different bubble. Taylor Swift's Cruel Summer, 21 weeks on the chart, on their chart, American Top 40, on the current chart on the Billboard Hot 100, is currently number 2 and 29 weeks on the chart. So again, Taylor Swift, pretty obvious. When her music's up there, she's going to be up there. By the way, she was 7 weeks at number 1. So, yeah, I understand. Makes sense. And for Billboard, I forget how many weeks she was up there in terms of how many weeks she was up at number 1. But no matter what, she was up there, and that's fine. Okay. Continuing on the chart, used to be Young, Miley Cyrus, number 4. Okay. This dropped off of the official chart months ago. Like, I want to say 3 months ago. Used to be Young. I mean, I don't even remember when that, can you remember that song? Okay, number 30. At 13 weeks. Because radio pushes it. Remember, radio manipulates all the Billboard charts as well. They're still considered a pretty significant part of the algorithm, of the calculation. And then we move along. Okay. Number 5, Snooze. It was 1 week at number 1, 27 weeks on their chart. And as for the Billboard, well, because radio manipulates, Snooze is still at number 5. But again, number 5, and it's been on the chart for almost a year, 50 weeks. It's the longest running current single in the top 10. And there's a lot of reasons why Snooze continues to be there. After her album came out at the start of the year, and then moved along to continue to be somewhere swirling around the charts. And then it was put out as a proper single by radio, and that continues to be out there. And it was single for R&B, for urban contemporary, and then moved up to pop radio. And just stayed like that. And if I look at other songs they have in here that continue to be on the chart, okay, let's go through some of these. As a breakout song, Zach Bryan and Casey Musgraves' I Remember Everything is now breaking out on this chart. Okay, it's been on pop radio. It's been everywhere. 13 weeks on. Was the number 1 song for several weeks. And they're just getting to it now. That's commercial radio. And people listen for Ryan Seacrest in this chart on a regular basis. I think this is okay. How about this? Billie Eilish, What Was I Made For? This is from the Barbie soundtrack in July. And the song, is it even on the Billboard chart right now? That's a great question. Hold on. I'll tell you right now. It is 36. 19 weeks on the chart. All right. But I forgot about that song. Like, I was there and like, oh, man, I just forgot it was even around. Okay. We'll just go with the top 10 and that's it, right? Barbie World is still on their chart at number... What? At number 7. Rima and Selena Gomez, by the way, 3 weeks at number 1. Calm Down. Now, I've already complained about this song. This song came out October 2019. On streaming. And then even before that, it had come out before. Remember, this is a remix. And if I look for Rima and Calm Down, is it even on here right now? I think it dropped off the chart, right? Because I think it did drop off finally not too long ago. And I'm like, yeah, it's not even on the chart. Because this song has been like out there for so long. How is that still out there for people to... How's that still considered a new song? A year plus on the chart. Like, is Ryan Seacrest telling people, yeah, this song's been on for 53 weeks. Are you going to say that? Shit. Barbie World's number 7. Paul Russell, Lil Boot Thing, number 8. Yeah, you know, I get it. Okay. Tate McRae, Greedy, number 9. And Tate McRae, right now, Greedy is what? Currently, it's top 10 right now. It just broke top 10. It's at 7. 10 weeks on. And 7 weeks on for American Top 40 chart. Because radio got behind it because obviously RCA wants to put a big push for her to be the next big pop star. Album coming out. So obviously there's some money. There's some, maybe not some money, but there's some favors being passed back and forth. We know that. Like I said, Billie Eilish rounds out the top 10. Yeah. Now on their chart, they do put in quite a few country stars that are in here. Jelly Roll's Need a Favor's in there. NSYNC's Better Place has a spot on the chart. Like, really? Luke Combs' Fast Car is also in there. Kenny Grace Strangers, that's nice for her. 31. And got up to 26. She got 5-point jump. How about that? That's nice of her. Like, this chart still has a number of songs from the Barbie soundtrack 6 months ago. 6 months ago. Is It Over Now from the Fall just debuted at 28, which is normally what they do. If a song's going to be, it's like the breakout hit. Like this song, Is It Over Now? I think it hit number 1 or number 2 or something like that on the British chart. But here, it's a 28. And I forget how high Is It Over Now got over on, oh no, it got up to number 1. That's right. 4 weeks ago. But now they're just debuting this Taylor Swift song now because they have to run it as, as they always do. Okay, here's another one. Okay, this is another outrage. Tyler and Water just debuted on this chart at 35. How do you get behind on that? Tyler just hit top 10 now. She's been out 8 weeks. And by the way, this took a while for Tyler and Water to get that song up on the chart because it wasn't on here right away. Because in the UK and Europe, it was already hit up for about 12 weeks. For just 4 months ago. But yet this right here, this is normal. But this is acceptable. And by the way, so if Ryan Seacrest has such a push, now is it part of the reason why these concert series that, that are being done right now by iHeartMedia, is it because of the fact that who they have at these concerts, that's who they're going to go and promote on their charts? Is that what we're doing right now? Let's look at that. The current iHeart Jingle Ball lineup. Currently, as of September, you have all the stars you're going to bring up. And let's look who we got. Olivia Rodrigo, Usher, Nicki Minaj, SZA, Niall Horan, One Republic, AJR, Sabrina Carpenter, Miguel, Jelly Roll, Big Time Rush, NCT Dream, Flo Rida, and more. So now, a number of those stars are going to have their songs featured on American Top 40 if they have music to go out there, right? And that's why. Now, what about their iHeart Music Festival? What about that? Who do they feature at the music festival this past year, right? Same thing, I bet. Some similar names in the lineup. So there's some stars that are on here there. They do obviously that particular concert series goes a little more out there. But if we're looking at, of the current listing of stars, like when they promoted it, they're obviously talking about the stars they have that are like legendary, legacy artists. Of the performers they had out there, they just made it a much older list. So like the younger stars did not go to Vegas because of the way they use that particular event to do what they want to do. Right? Like for even them, you're not going to get the younger stars to go out there and put them on in front of a stage. Well, that's part of the reason where the musicians out there, they can't pull arenas. Or if they are out there, they can't pull these kind of shows. Like they can get the younger stars that are touring to do the Jingle Ball because they're just select events. But not this festival for whatever reason. And that's what they decided to do. So with that said, it's this constant thing I look at, and it just reeks my mind that Ryan Seacrest continues to be doing this, and I'm not happy about it, because I never feel like it's anything good that we get out of him for doing this show. It just pisses me off. So I'm going to get off my high horse about that because I always do this. Listen, I've been doing this kind of thing where I just go back to the chart and complain about it. And it's like, I've been doing this since April of 2018, since like what? I want to say like the 13th, 14th, 15th episode of this program that I did when it was called Creative, Not Corporate. I just do it. I'm a radio guy and I look at these numbers and I look what they do and I'm like, and Ryan Seacrest has pull. He has influence. He could do a better job. And honestly, he could be the arbiter of radio that could really bring radio back. How about some less commercials? How about doing something else to kind of get the creativity back? Because he's not helping. He's one of the pillars of the radio business. One of the most recognizable names in radio. And he offers nothing. Okay? He is no Alan Freed. He is no Dan Ingram. He is no Robert W. Morgan. He's no Larry Lujak. Do you want me to go current names? He's no Kid Craddock. He's no Howard Stern. Just not. And that's where I'm at. It just really bothers me. And there's not much I can say more than that anyway. That it'll just keep pissing me off. It's just the way it is. But good on him. Listen, he gets his job. He gets to continue to go and do what he does. What he does, when you're stretched out that far, stretched out that thin, how good can you be in all these projects? But it's as if the media doesn't really care about that. There's already a lack of masters of ceremonies out there anyway. I mean, think about it. I mean, why do you think that we have now? Oh, well, for game shows we have on TV, we can get, celebrities to do it. Leah Remini doing People Puzzler, Elizabeth Banks doing Press Your Luck, Michael Strahan doing $25,000 Pyramid, Anthony Anderson doing To Tell the Truth. Like, come on. Or Alec Baldwin when he did Match Game. I mean, these are things that I'll make. No, it's not working. Now, for some, it's different. Like for Wayne Brady with Let's Make a Deal, or Drew Carrion, Price is Right, different story. But it's what they do here and how they present. Or Mayim Bialik doing Jeopardy. Oh, ooh. No. In every other country in the world, they still have a master of ceremonies. They still have certain people can host certain programming and just do it well. I don't know. It's all changed. It's so much different now. So that happens. I gave him 30 minutes. I'm not going to talk anymore about it. But this is where media is. I mean, media right now, still, digital disruption continues to hurt everybody. Like, people are not opting to go to listen to radio. Like, they're not, same way they're not opting to go to watch, read magazines or pick up newspapers. I still look at the Palm Beach Post trying to send me, we can give you 6 months for $1. What, so I can find like one story I want to go and catch that's behind a paywall? Really? You really don't give me that much else to listen to or much to read? No. And what did I say about years ago when I saw that Vox and Gizmodo and all these different publications combining together, still being cut with layoffs? Well, more layoffs continue. Fortune, and there's also a couple other places I'm looking at right now. One is The Messenger. Vox Media and Condé Nast have laid off employees, according to posts shared on X and a union announcement. So a number of job cuts have come because of downsizing across major news outlets. Washington Post, Jezebel, and CNBC show that a sustainable revenue model continues to elude the news industry 2 decades into a transition towards digital delivery. Transitions lowered costs and made news far more widely available, but it's also strangled once robust revenue systems. So traditional print circulation of U.S. daily newspapers has continued to dwindle. It's down 8% from 2022 and 62% from 2000. Pew Research estimates that advertising revenue has declined 80% in the last decade, from $49 billion in 2006 to $9 billion. Vox has let go 16 staffers at Vox, 4 from the Dodo, and that represents about 4% of the organization. And now Vox has a voluntary subscription model for its content, a contributions program. Bloomberg has announced they're going to scale back its weekly business magazine, Bloomberg Business Week, to a monthly print edition in 2024 because of the difficult market for weekly news magazines. And of course, it happens around Christmas. Is anybody else surprised by that? Yeah, I'm not. Now, the cuts at Vox, also the parent of New York Magazine and The Verge, they're centered around design and technology positions. Action reflects turmoil in the advertising industry and increasing volatility of search and social platforms, according to a spokesperson. And a number of media companies have already announced job cuts this month. Condé Nast, like we just mentioned, they own GQ, Vogue, and Vanity Fair. 5% of their employees are gone. Geo Media, which is formerly Gizmodo, owning Quartz, The Onion, Gizmodo, and other websites. They will shut down Jezebel.com. But now Pace Magazine is going to supposedly purchase the brand and revive it. News media continues to go and fall apart. Thought that was also important to go make you mention. Merry Christmas, folks. You media folks that lost your jobs in magazines and digital media. Not a good year for jobs. Once we get to the end of year stuff, watch all the job cuts we had and all those things that happened with mergers from either Warner Brothers Discovery or just changes that were going on with the cuts that just continue to happen. It's horrible. Now, one thing when it comes to Pew Research, they actually put out a news platform fact sheet. They've been putting a lot of things, obviously, on the state of the media regular basis, but they put one out recently about the transition of the news industry away from print, TV, and radio into digital spaces has caused huge disruptions in that traditional news and the print news industry. And that news consumption across platforms. Well, this is why, magazines, digital media like that, it's just not working anymore. 86% of adults say they often sometimes get news from a smartphone, computer, or tablet, including 56% who say they do it so often. That's more than what was several years ago when it was 49%. From year to year, people getting their news from television is consistent from 31% in 2022 to 32% in 2023. And when asked of which of these platforms they prefer to get news on, nearly 6 in 10 say a digital device, more than they say TV, and even less say radio or print. And there's much more they get into this story, but I'm not going to go and delve into that. But just, no answers on a dwindling audience and where people are going to go and listen to or watch news content. Or that if people want to still watch news content. We're getting some details now from the actors and writers strike and what they're now going to be getting in terms of residuals and what the benefits of the push against artificial intelligence is going to have. So the residuals module has been explained as the actors are getting ready to go ahead and finally go ahead and get to sign off on the new contract, the new agreement, the basic agreement. So we have to figure out which shows are going to be, the people that are going to be behind those shows, that are working on those shows, which ones are going to be part of the residuals bonus system. So they already know that shows like on Netflix, Stranger Things, Wednesday, and Bridgerton will be rewarded under the new system. And it's likely another number of other shows would be close to making the cut through the revamped model. And I are talking about to Deadline that shows like Peacock's Poker Face, Disney Plus's Marvel series Secret Invasion, could be part of that residuals part. And it's hard for other shows and other streamers, such as Amazon's Prime Video, to come close to the new targets, given that the company has nearly 170 million subscribers, much of which are more likely interested in free shipping than watching the peripheral. Both guilds set their sights on a success-based residual for streaming titles from day one of talks in an effort to address the dwindling payments their members are receiving in the streaming era. But the AMPTP was reluctant to agree. Anyway, we already went to that story. So the vote's going to be ratified for the new agreement December 5th, a tentative agreement to a bonus structure similar to the Writers Guild. One top agent says that I would say the studios didn't go hugely far with what they're doing. They kept it in some way in a box and kept it to a result that ultimately will not really pull in a huge number of shows. The splashiest shows are really the ones that will be rewarded. Right. In order to be eligible for the bonus, a title must be receiving enough domestic views in its first 90 days to be equivalent to 20% of the streaming service's domestic subscribers. For the Writers Guild, the credited writer for each episode will receive an additional 50% of their fixed domestic and foreign residuals if the show meets that criteria. And for actors, any title that surpasses the viewership threshold will trigger a payment to each principal performer equivalent to 100% of the fixed residual. And the performer will only get 75% of that payment. And the other 25% will be in a fund controlled by SAG-AFTRA and AMPTP trustees, distributed among the rest of the union's members. The new bonus structure will yield approximately $40 million per year, $10 million distributed each year through the fund. Okay, interesting. And when it comes to AI companies, they praise the fact that how the writers and actors did a very good job on protecting themselves from artificial intelligence. The writers and actors embraced a balanced approach to the technology, obtaining job protections against AI abuse, consent, and protection against diminishment of pay, but their agreements also allow the use of AI tools both in screenwriting and the creation of performances. The companies in AI have been pleased with the outcome, setting up guardrails for further development of such tools. Pseudo-Write, an AI fiction writing tool, and their co-founder, James Hughes, said, quote, "We believe in the power of the writer to choose whether to use AI or not. It's all about the agency of the writer." Now, the negotiator for SAG-AFTRA, said that the union's goal is never to eradicate AI. For himself, he's even invested in a company called Flawless, using AI to facilitate foreign language dubbing. Traditional dubbing requires changing a dialogue to match lip movements, but Flawless changes the lip movements to match the translated script. The SAG-AFTRA agreement does not impede that sort of AI use. That's not actually a pretty beneficial thing right there. Actually, that's not that bad to do that. I like that idea. Nolan AI, which also markets an AI screenwriting tool, they said in a statement that it reflects the harmony between humans and technology, and that the software works like a script buddy that make it helpful suggestions for scenes or dialogue. Kachur Garibian says, and this is the founder and CEO, he says, quote, "We're not against doing anything against creativity. We're helping to boost creativity." So that's a nice homage right there for companies to say, okay, well, AI will still be doing something special to go and work out for them. Okay. Now, here's another thing that's going on that's getting people kind of upset. While the digital media folks are losing their jobs, TikTok is now cutting from their creators fund that they had built out. This story just come out, another Christmas gift for the folks in the creator community and for the media community. Content creators alike. Not a good Christmas. It's unfortunate that TikTok's going to sunset the $2 billion creator fund established in 2020 to pay creators of the platform for viral videos. So they're getting rid of that. I don't know why they would do that. But like I said, we're in a pandemic, man, that was something that was a really big deal. But yeah, $2 billion. Starting December 16th, if creators want to be compensated directly by TikTok, they have to enroll in the Creativity Fund that only pays creators for videos longer than 60 seconds. And for creators interviewed by Fortune, the end of the Creator Fund validates the fears that the platform does not truly value the short-form content and that the longevity of creators on social content creation remains uncertain. Originally, the Creator Fund was created in July 2020 with $200 million, aiming to support ambitious creators who are seeking opportunities to foster a livelihood through innovative content. And they increased the funding to $2 billion in the following years, that TikTok's ambition was unmet. The eligibility for acceptance into the Creator and Creativity Funds remains identical. TikTokers need over 10,000 followers and more than 100,000 video views in the last 30 days. By the way, speaking of creator and trying to be able to, monetize shows, by the way, YouTube, I got a channel, King of Podcasts. I just broke 300 subscribers. I need 500 to be able to start monetizing. So please go and subscribe right now at King of Podcasts on YouTube. Thank you. But here's the good news, that while TikTok is cutting off their creator fund, Snapchat and YouTube are doubling down. YouTube's Shorts Partner program is now a direct-to-play to incentivize disenchanted TikTokers to create content for YouTube. But that is a lot of money that some of these stars that really just wanted to go ahead and completely rely on TikTok, they kind of lose on that. But I guess that kind of helps to get some real organic creators to continue to go across and monetize as they want. Actually, I don't mind that too much. One quick story I'll just go and glom through is the fact that Billboard has a story about have labels hit a breaking point with data-driven A&R, because the artist repertoire folks were always using data to kind of predict the next hit singles and the next big artists. But now it's changed because the way songs are streaming and what gets viral or what doesn't, they don't have the control over it. And they don't have the predictions like they normally did before in the past. One person they talked to in this article says, no executive can snap their fingers and guarantee that the world will buy into an artist anymore because consumers can finally decide what they want to listen to. And they're right. By the way, I got to make mention of the Spotify Wrapped. I love looking forward to that every year, and it just popped into my feed on Spotify this morning. So cool how well they get into everything they've learned about what's going on with what you're listening to. The fact that I listened to, well, how many songs out of here? What is it, like 70,000 songs over the year? No, 70,000 hours. Hold on, I got to look where it was again. I forget what it was saying. But what they gave me as the story of what I did is ridiculous. So I got to find that real quick. Hold on. The Spotify thing, the Unwrapped thing was really cool this year. And when they just told me about what happened to me and what I got out of it, here we go. So they talked about I had played 4,933 songs in 2023. Okay. I listened to 3,067 artists this year. And the artist I listened to the most was Rochi RD, which is a Dominican Dembo artist. I listened to a lot of that music anyway. And then the other artist that I really enjoyed the most was Peso Pluma at number 2, El Alfa at number 3, Yomed El Meroso number 4, all these Dominican Dembo artists. Carol G number 5. Wow. I didn't know I listened to so much Spanish music this year. Crazy. And I was like, oh, there we go. 69,249 minutes listened to in the year on Spotify. 70,000. What? Hold on. How many hours is that? What is that now? So if I had to put 70,000 minutes into hours. Yeah, let me go and get this calculated. That means I listened to about 1,166 hours of music this year. That is wild. If I time that out, if I just put that by 52 weeks, that is amazing. I didn't know I listened to so much. So 1166 minus 52, divided by 52, 22 hours a week? 22 hours a week. And I also listen to audiobooks. And I'd slow down that because now Spotify has audiobooks. I'll soon enough get to that pretty soon. But yeah, 69,000 minutes of music. That is wild. But then again, if you listen to my playlist, you'll see why I do. I have my playlist, my Spotify playlist, over on kingofpodcasts.com. If you want to go ahead and check it out for yourselves, you can go ahead and find that. It's good stuff. One final story and I'll wrap things up. BMI, the music licensing organization, Broadcast Music Incorporated, the sale of BMI will now bring proceeds to the organizations currently holding stakes in the company. iHeartMedia is going to receive approximately $100 million in proceeds for its equity interest in BMI and use the proceeds for general corporate purposes, which may include the repayment of debt. But no terms of the sale were released, but multiple publications said that BMI was being sold for $1.5 billion. $100 million, and maybe they'll put into debt. That was the part that I thought was pretty funny myself, but just saying. Oh boy. All right. That's the show for tonight. Got a good 50 minutes out of it. And I don't expect these shows to go to an hour long the next couple of weeks until we get, media back up and running again. But, for the fact we got to this far, pretty commendable to me, I must admit. So I enjoyed it. It was nice to get back on here and do this. And like I said, we'll probably get to the best of content pretty soon, and we'll get into that and we'll start continuing to talk about it. But now, in the meantime, make sure to go and follow me on social media at King of Podcast on X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Threads, TikTok. KingofPodcasts.com is the website with all the info, including the program. And until next week, remember that content is king, and the control of your content is in your hands.